just nice to see him. Today's Sunday feast was cooked lovingly by the devotees from Glasgow. It wasn't just the devotees from Glasgow, was it? Okay, and it was sponsored by HG Prabhupada, whose sister passed away. You see on the photographs to the far left, it's Radha Pranana. Her funeral was on Friday there. She was a devotee of Krishna for 6 years. She did book distribution. She was a very bright, intelligent person. As well as book distribution, she also worked with the local authorities, getting us permits for doing collections, and she was instrumental in doing a lot of fundraising. And she was a very good organiser. She went on to work for the town office. And she was, even though she hadn't lived at the temple for a long time, she remained a devotee. And at her funeral then, see, her family went, so apart from her brother, who was a devotee and who encouraged her to become a devotee, then her family weren't so supportive. So there wasn't so much Krishna consciousness spoken about at the funeral, but then they played My Sweet Lord. And because people were taking some time to get out, they played it twice. And we had Maha garlands offered to her, and there was Tulsi in her coffin. She was getting cremated. In the Tulsi Mahatmya, it stated that if anybody's body is burnt with Tulsi wood, then the Vishnu Dutas, when they see that smoke rising, they come and take that soul from wherever they are in the material world, they take that soul back to Vaikuntha. So of course, we don't want to take a chance on that. I don't think, oh, that's fine, I'll just make sure that that's in my coffin. So, Radha Prananath Ki Jai. So we ask the devotees to say some prayers, and for devotees like that, there's many devotees who have contributed to the temple being here. And because of the service devotees like that did, then we're here to actually take this advantage of the facilities. So we should take advantage in the sense that we take the opportunity to be Krishna conscious and carry on further. This is the best way to show respect. And don't take it for granted, you know. And also we contribute towards passing on to the next people as well. Keep it going. Also, there's another photograph there. So he was, for many years, he was a supporter of the Vrindavan temple, and he was a friend and contact of Adhok Prabhu. He just passed away on Friday there with cancer, and the devotees meant a lot to him, so we can say some prayers for his onward journey. The blessings of the devotees is very important. So that was Bill. We can call him back to Bill. So, just in case I don't get a chance to make some announcements. Okay, and that's it. So we will just now, we have a special guest today. Coming all the way from India, Mr. Srilla Prabhupada. He joined ISKCON in 1986 while he was studying in medical school, and he got first initiated by Gopal Krishna Maharaj in 1987. 1994 he received second initiation in Mumbai. He's been running back to Viksha groups and house programs for many years, and at the Mumbai temple also he hosted question and answer sessions on specific topics. And from 1994 to 2000 he was serving devotees in hospitals in Kosi Kalan and Madura district. And he's also a very humble devotee. He didn't want any biography mentioned, but we found out a few things about him, so just he's very knowledgeable in Bhagavad-Gita, and this is a very important thing, is the chanting of the holy name, which is the Yoga Dharma, by the way, in case you didn't know. Harinama, 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 Kevalam, Kalo, Nishtavam, Nishtavam, Nitira, Nita. So everything is meant to bring us to chant more. And Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada said, if there's only one book we read, then it should be Bhagavad Gita. Not just any Bhagavad Gita, of course, Bhagavad Gita as it is. But of course, Prabhupada gave us much more than that, and Prabhupada is very knowledgeable in Shastra. And any questions you ask, he can bring it back to Bhagavad Gita. So we'd like to welcome His Gracious Rsabha Deva. Hare Krishna. And the subject is Prabhupada's gift to the world, the Bhagavad Gita as it is. Not Bhagavad Gita, some people would like it to be.
Hare Krishna. First of all, my most humble and respectful obeisances unto all the wonderful Vaishnavas in this very wonderful community. I'm actually totally unqualified to speak in front of such nice and surrendered devotees. But because it was a wish of some devotees, I agreed, even though I'm totally unqualified. So, to all of you, Vansha Kalpa Kalivasya Kripa Sindhu Vyavacha Patitanam Paramahya. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. We start with Jai Radha. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Kunja Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Gopi Jana Madhava Kunja Bihari निताई गौर हरि प्रेमानंद जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्रजकाचार्य स्तोत्र श्री श्रीमद केसी भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की श्रील भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती महाराज की राम आचार्य श्रील हरिदास ठाकुर की प्रेम से बोलो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद की श्री ब्रजभूमि वृंदावन धाम की नवदीप मायापुर धाम की श्री पुरुषोत्तम क्षेत्र जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की गौ सेवा की दामोदर अष्टक की कार्तिक मास की करुणा भवन धाम की करुणा भवन धाम की करुणा भवन धाम की श्रील प्रभुपाद बुक डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन की ऑल ग्लोरीज टू द असेंबल्ड डिवोटीज all glories to the assembled devotees all glories to the assembled devotees all glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga Hari Hari Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya 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 Once again, welcome to all the wonderful devotees in this divine Karuna Bhavan Satsang Hall. And since it's pre-marathon in India, of course, His Holiness Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj and His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj announced the marathon from 1st November this year. But I guess here we are going to start in December. Is it in, or have you already started?
UK has started already.
Yes, very nice. So I thought that since it is the time of marathon and we should really appreciate the karuna hidden in Srila Prabhupada's purports of Srimad Bhagavad-Gita as it is. Because it is the biggest gift which I feel Srila Prabhupada has given us. Because most of the devotees, when they first get hold of a Bhagavad Gita as it is, those who are initially in their material life or karmi life, they are transformed just by reading the purports and also listening to the Bhagavad Gita classes which are in all ISKCON centers all over the world. So I just start with a small purport or shlok from Bhagavad Gita where a word similar to karuna is mentioned in that shlok, which actually means karuna, compassion or mercy, and then we'll go ahead for this ahead in the short class. So this is from chapter 2, verse text number 1. Kindly repeat after me. Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is. Sanjay Uvach, text 1, chapter 2. तं तथा कृपयाविष्टम् अश्रुपूर्णाकुलेक्षणम् विषीदन्तमिदं वाक्यम् उवाच मधुसूदनः तं तथा कृपयाविष्टम् अश्रुपूर्णाकुलेक्षणम् विषीदन्तमिदं वाक्यम् उवाच मधुसूदनः. If possible, one Prabhuji and one Mataji kindly with me.
Sanjay Uvacha Tam Tata Kripayavishtam Ashru-Purna-Kulekshanam Vishidantam-idam Vakyam Uvacha Madhusudana.
Very nice. So the word meaning, Sanjay what? Sanjay said, I'll just read it through, so because we have very less time. Tam unto Arjun, tatha thus, kripaya by compassion, avishtam overwhelmed, ashru purna akula full of tears, ikshanam eyes, vishidantam lamenting, idam these, vakyam words, uvach said, Madhusudana, the killer of Madhu. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Sanjay said, seeing Arjun full of compassion, his mind depressed, his eyes full of tears, Madhusudan, Krishna, spoke the following words. Purport. Material compassion, lamentation, and tears are all signs of ignorance of the real self. Compassion for the eternal soul is self-realization. The word Madhusudan is significant in this verse. Lord Krishna killed the demon Madhu, and now Arjun wanted Krishna to kill the demon of misunderstanding that had overtaken him in the discharge of his duty. No one knows where compassion should be applied. Compassion for the dress of a drowning man is senseless. A man fallen in the ocean of nescience cannot be saved simply by rescuing his outward dress, the gross material body. One who does not know this and laments for the outward dress is called a Shudra, or one who laments unnecessarily. Arjun was a Kshatriya, and this conduct was not expected from him. Lord Krishna, however, can dissipate the lamentation of the ignorant man. And for this purpose, the Bhagavad-Gita was sung by him. This chapter instructs us in self-realization by an analytical study of the material body and the spirit soul, as explained by the Supreme Authority, Lord Shri Krishna. This realization is possible when one works without attachment to fruitive results and is situated in the fixed conception of the real self. Hare Krishna. So, this is a very wonderful purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Now, as you all know, Karuna And this is, of course, the Divine Karuna Bhavan, where we are all fortunate to be, all of you are fortunate to be doing so much of service. And if you notice in the last sentence, Prabhupada mentions that this self-realization, which we are all trying to achieve, is possible when one works without attachment, as the devotees are engaged in service for spreading Krishna consciousness, worshipping the deities, the Pujari Seva, and all sorts of service in this divine Krishna Bhavan. So, without attachment to fruitive results, and is situated in the fixed conception of the real self. So, the importance of seva cannot be described, even if we sit for years to end till the end of our lives and for lives and life after end, because this is the way to purify our senses. So, first of all, my humble request, because I was quite disturbed to know that it is such a large land here, and there are almost only 10 devotees, out of which 5 are not present now because of service elsewhere. So I humbly request the congregation, who are very nicely coming on Sundays, to devote as much time as possible if you want to receive the Karuna or mercy or compassion of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada and his so sincere and wonderful disciples all over the world, and his grand disciples who are serving all over the world. Because there is no better opportunity by rendering such service, we not only purify ourselves, but we can help others, because in this part of the world, as we all can see, everybody is very grossly involved in sense gratification. And as we go through various chapters of Bhagavad-Gita, especially in the 14th chapter, as you know, Lord Shri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, has very nicely described the 3 modes which we are all unfortunately under control of. And to rise above these modes, the best way is to engage the mind, body, senses, our Vani, or as much as possible in the service of the Lord and their devotees and His devotees. So, in fact, I just while changing into dhoti, because it was so cold, I did not come in dhoti and kurta. The letters of Karuna, that is first K, I thought I can try to make some meaning out of it, because I was really amazed at the wonderful service you all were doing in the Prasadam room. So K, Krishna, and A is and Radha are Radha Karuna, that is K, A, Krishna and Radha. You, for you is please unfold. N is non-ending or non-stop activities. A, the last alphabet in Karuna, A, is activities in Krishna consciousness or Ananda. So Krishna and Radha, please unfold non-ending or non-stop activities in Krishna consciousness. We all devotees should pray in front of their lordships. Unfortunately, I am not able to have darshan of the deities, as Ram Lakshman, His Grace Ram Lakshman Prabhuji told me it would take another 2 weeks. But you devotees are so nice and humble and always engaged in service. So there's a lot to learn from you. So I humbly request you to engage others in this service, and please pray to their lordships so that we can have more and more congregation members like we have in India, so that the entire message can be spread to not only in Scotland, not only in UK, but from this center all over the world. And maybe one day the book distribution, like Guru Maharaj and His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj, asked the devotees to increase from 6 to 7 lakhs in Pune, because Pune is among the top 5. That is what Guru Maharaj announced generally over the last few years, and sometimes even first. So why not have this Karuna Bhavan to be one of the leaders in book distribution? That could also be possible. Nothing is impossible if Srila Prabhupada, because this is the powerhouse of Karuna. This is what I realized while I was changing in the Brahmachari ashram. Maybe it was the special mercy of the sort of sadhana and austerity of the brahmacharis. I went to the room and just these thoughts came to me that this is actually the powerhouse of Karuna. And from this Karuna Bhavan, you can spread Krishna consciousness easily all over the world. And why not only in this Brahmand, even outside into all. So let us at least pray to the Lordships and of course the wonderful senior devotees who are there here. The very nice President Yola serving under. And all the congregation devotees, please encourage others to come and engage in this service. So we'll now go ahead from here. So actually Bhagavad-Gita is basically a manifestation of extreme karuna of Lord Sri Krishna. There are 3 verses in which Arjun requests Sri Krishna to instruct him related to his kalyan or for his upliftment towards Krishna consciousness. That is 2nd chapter 7th shlok, where Arjun says, Yat Shreya Shanistitam Bruhi Tanme Shishyasteham Shadimam Tvam Prapannam. So Prapannam, he says, I am surrendered as a disciple and please instruct me. But there again, Arjun, very nicely, just to indicate what would happen in Kali Yuga and in the future, in 2 shloks, exactly 2 shloks, and 2 shloks has a relation with Damodar Leela also. If you know, everybody, of course, all of you know that when Mother Yashoda was trying to bind Krishna with the unlimited number of ropes which she personally searched, fetched from here and there. Therefore, she was totally full of sweat by the time she tried to tie Krishna, and that is how Krishna became compassionate towards her, seeing her extreme parisham which she was trying to do to bind the Lord. So it was always falling 2 fingers short. So here Arjun, 2 shloks later, he announces that I will not fight, hey Govinda. And which actually indicates disciples like me, we sort of claim to be surrendered, and if there is an instruction from Guru Maharaj or senior Vaishnavas to do some particular service, we just refuse. So this should not be the attitude. Of course, this is not so in Karuna Bhavan. Here everybody is serving so nicely. And the second time when Krishna was asked by Arjun is in the 3rd chapter, 2nd shlok, where he says he was confused about the instruction. Vyamishrene vakyena buddhi moyasi vame tad ekam vad nishchitya yen shreyoham apnuyam tad ekam vad nishchitya. So he requests Krishna to give him a definite instruction for his upliftment. Then again in the 5th chapter also, Arjun requests Krishna in the 1st shlok itself. So this is just to indicate that Arjun is actually only asking for Shreya or Kalyan. This is not a scripture where there is any Karmakand. It is totally for the benefit of humanity at large. And it is meant because many devotees or many people feel that in such a place where there is so many people in the mode of ignorance and passion, how can we even dare to go and offer the Bhagavad-Gita during marathon or preach to them or request them to come? So that Krishna very clearly clarifies in the 9th chapter, 30th shlok. Api chet suduracharo bhajate mam ananya bhag Sadur ev samantavya samyak vyavasito hisa. This is 30, and then in 31st, Krishna further says, Shipram bhavati dharmatma shashvat shantim negacchati kaunteya pratijanihi name bhakta pranashyati. So a sudurachari, api chet suduracharo. Now, even the people here are not really sudurachari because that is an extreme. So when you have the wonderful gift of Bhagavad-Gita from Srila Prabhupada, as Bhagavad-Gita as it is, and you have so many wonderful devotees here. So we can easily try to preach to these citizens of this country and further on all over, so that they can also engage in this wonderful service. Similarly, that many people, like as you all know, Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is a life manual actually. Just like I was mentioning even yesterday's class, that when we purchase any device, we get a manual along with it, and you study the manual very carefully, the instruction manual, to know how to actually use the device. But we never realized, like Prabhuji, when giving the introduction, he very nicely said that Prabhupada said that if it's one book, it's Bhagavad Gita as it is. For people who don't have time, they may not go further into Srimad Bhagavatam, Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, or read other wonderful books like Nectar of Devotion, Nectar of Instruction. But even in the Gita Mahatmya, it comes Ekam Shastram Devaki Putra Gitam. So it is Srimad Bhagavad Gita, which is the only scripture where Krishna is actually by himself speaking for the Kalyan of the living entity. Because as you know, the other scriptures are not directly spoken by Lord Shri Krishna. So it is specifically, like you see all over the world. I don't think there may be hardly one or two few temples where the deities may be lying down or in a lying down position. All over the world, this is the karuna of their lordships, that all over the world, the Achal deities are standing 24 hours, 24/7 and 365 days, and always permanently standing, waiting to distribute Karuna. And more so, Gaur Nitai, they are not only standing, their arms are, as we all do, please all raise your hands and chant the Hare Krishna at least once. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So imagine if you have to stand throughout the year and for all the years in which you are alive. And second, stand with your arms raised in the air. That is the further special mercy. The lordships, Sri Sitaram, Lakshmanji, and Radha Krishna, Radha Madhav, they are standing. But here the lordships, the Gaur-Nitai, are standing with raised arms. Now you please try to do that exercise and tell me how long you can stand, and that too with raised arms. If you just stand without raised arms, so this is the karuna of the deities and the lordships all over the world. They are waiting to embrace their living entities. Where Lord Krishna in the Supreme Personality of Godhead in Bhagavad Gita, 15th chapter, 7 shlok says, Mame vansho jiva loke, jiva bhut sanatana. So, we living entities with such love, Krishna is actually calling to us. And Krishna in many shlokas, he is asking us to surrender. Like in 7th chapter, 14th shlok, Krishna clearly indicates that it's very difficult to get out and rise above the material modes. Devi hesha gunamayi mammaya duratyaya mame ye prapadyante maya me tam tarantite. So you want to be delivered, so you have to surrender. Mame ye prapadyante. The one who surrenders, he will, and this powerhouse, that is a Karuna Bhavan, is the right place to surrender. Please come to the deities if possible, stay for a few days when you are free from work. Also engage in seva when you are here. Not that you sit like a Babaji in one of the rooms, chanting or pretending to chant. And then I'm not talking about you, like wonderful devotees. Some who comes and thinks that I don't need to do any seva. I'll chant 64 or 128 rounds and then falls asleep in the room. It's always better to be engaged, have association of devotees, engage in some seva for what you are trained. You may be qualified, as an accountant, whatever engineer, you may be an architect. So do something for the temple and therefore for Srila Prabhupada. And many people think, like I already mentioned, that there are 3 times Arjuna is specifically requesting Krishna to instruct him about his Shreya of Kalyan. So many people think that therefore I gave that example of the device that we can do it at a later stage when we are retired. So when the device is all finished, at that time, if you read the instructions and then you realize that this is not waterproof, I should have not placed it in a bucket of water, or I should have not dropped it from a height of, maybe 20 feet or whatever, and I should have taken this particular care or whatever, like vehicles require their own care, whatever are the instructions. Now, at the end of your life, if you decide to follow some or understand the instructions, then it is, although we say it's better late than never, but that doesn't mean you start at the end of your life, like when the device is already almost finished. So you need to start. And when is that start? Remember the life of Shri Prahlad Maharaj, right in the womb. So the Matajis or mothers are generally by nature very karunamai, because Srimati Radha Rani and Srimati Sita Devi are karunamai. In one bhajan, it actually comes that Karuna Mai Radhe and Kripa Mai Radhe. So that Karuna, you may or may not be knowing that Radharani is a Vatsalya Sindhu. She is actually called Sapta Sindhu Shri Radha. 7 Sindhus. Out of these 7 Sindhus or oceans, one ocean is Vatsalya Sindhu. And it is very nice and amazing to understand that one drop from that ocean of Vatsalya is distributed among all the mothers in all the Brahmans. And mind you, this mothers does not mean only human mothers, because even animals have mothers, birds have mothers. So all the mothers, now imagine that one drop which is distributed in all the mothers, in all the species of life, in all the Brahmans, that reflects so beautifully in motherhood, in the mothers. So I request all the mothers or those who are preaching to young girls and students or Matajis or who are recently married, so they should be very careful that this instruction should start right in the womb, when the child is in the womb, when the fetus is in the womb. And we are not to wait, then when the child is 20, we start complaining that he's not listening to me, he's into drugs, or he's not even doing his studies, he's not taking the holy name. So we may be so-called devotees, but we haven't guided our children right from the start. So we should remember the example of Prahlad Maharaj. So the mothers who are by nature karunamai should first of all show their karuna on the fetus in the womb by listening to a lot of satsang, doing a lot of seva, and also receiving instruction by reading the scripture, that is Guru, Sadhu and Shastra in any way. Now we have the opportunity because of so many online videos, or we can have darshan of Mayapur, Vrindavan Dham and everything, even Karuna Bhavan in India or any part of the world if you wish to. So please use that facility and use that to engage yourself and the newborn child who's the future of the preaching movement of Srila Prabhupada. That will definitely please Prabhupada. Let the Matajis listen to Prabhupada tapes or themselves read Shastra, come and attend satsang and engage in seva as much as physically possible. Which the brahmacharis and sannyasis are spreading karuna. Why would the brahmacharis and sannyasis, without caring at all for any rest, without bothering about prasadam, especially you can see even the rest during marathon, there is nothing comes in the way. Right from morning till night. There was one example when the brahmacharis, I don't remember which country or where, they came very late at night to the ashram. So they thought that, they would be disturbing the rest. And when they very carefully they entered without making any noise, they realized they were the first ones to enter the ashram, because the others were still doing book distribution. So don't think that the time of marathon is like not only 24 hours, it's for the whole month, and it should go on for the whole year. Because this is the time when we have the energy, the senses are still, you have that bodily strength, the mental strength to do seva. When you reach a certain age, you may not be able to do anything. And then what Krishna is described so many times, he's used the word smaran or anusmariti in the 8th chapter. Like for example, in the 5th shlok, as you all may have memorized, Antakale chamamev smaran muktva kalevaram ya prayati samadbhavam yati nastyatra sanchaya. And then 6th, yam yam vapi smaran bhavam. See again smaran. First is Antakale chamamev smaran. Then again yam yam vapi smaran bhavam. Then further also in the 7th shlok, tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mam anusmar. Now, Anusmar, it's just like you may have seen, like when it's time, like Prabhupada appearance day or disappearance day or Govardhan Puja, the Prabhujis and Matajis, they stand in a line and they pass the prasadam, especially, when you have like 108 items or sometimes 1008 items for the bhoga. So they stand in a continuous line, you can say, where there is no gap between two devotees. So Anusmar, there should be no gap or no time gap between two smaran. Because as soon as there is a gap, then what Krishna instructed in 2nd chapter, 62nd and 63rd shlok, that how dhyayato vishayan pumsa sangasteshu pajayate sangat sanjayate kamaha kamat krodho bijayate क्रोधात् भवति सम्मोहः सम्मोहात् स्मृति विभ्रमः स्मृति भंशात् बुद्धिनाशो बुद्धिनाशात् प्रणश्यति. So if there is a gap between two smarans, now how is this smaran possible? Unless you don't engage in any seva, you don't do your chanting of 16 rounds very carefully with attentive chanting, and you don't do chanting regularly. There is the Shravanam and Kirtan, and then the next stage is Smaran. Unless you don't follow the regulative principles, don't follow the instructions of Srila Prabhupada, it's not possible to reach the Smaranam stage. As you can see, Prahlad was in continuous Smaran, so nothing affected him when there were so many attacks to the physical body in various ways by his own father or by those engaged by his father. But nothing ever happened to him, but the Lord protected him at all times. So also you will be protected at the time of death. Therefore Krishna instructs in 8th chapter, 5th shlok, Antakale chamame smaran muktva kalevaram. So we have to also, before leaving the kalevar, again in 5:23 Krishna says that Shaknoti heva yasodhum prak sharir vimokshanat. Before leaving the body, you should be able to tolerate the urges of the senses, and especially the urge for Kam and Krodh. Kama krodhodbhavam vegam sa yukt sa sukhi naraha. So such a human being or Manusha is well situated and also happy, not the one who has uncontrolled senses. So how is it possible to control the senses? By pleasing Rishikesh, the master of the senses. You need to do service. This is what I'm stressing on all the time. If you want, just like I explained, one drop of the Vatsalya Sindhu water from the ocean of Srimati Radharani, one drop is distributed all over the Brahmans in all the mothers. So similarly, even one drop from Karuna Bhavan, if we get even an individual need not get the drop. If that drop is distributed in the whole of Edinburgh, I am sure it can change the whole world by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, because the power is so much. It is not ordinary karuna or ordinary mercy, ordinary compassion. It is directly from Golok Vrindavan, like the holy name has manifest from the holy dham. So these are not ordinary places. Sometimes people just take, like in the temples in India, like even in Edinburgh you have temples. They call it Hindu temple, I have heard. But you don't have that constant atmosphere as Srila Prabhupada has trained his disciples, and further his disciples have trained all of us. So we need to engage in service by pleasing the master of the senses. Automatically our senses are then in the right direction, and therefore when all the 10 senses 5 plus 5 are under control by doing good service, then the mind is controlled. Otherwise, Arjun himself asked Shri Krishna that how is it possible? Chanchalam hi mana Krishna pramati balvadridam tasyaham nigraham manye vayori sudushkaram. Arjun, who can, by seeing the reflection of the eye of the fish in water. Water is otherwise by nature chanchal, restless. The fish is restless, is anyway moving. The eyes are always, we are always searching for sense gratification by the eyes, and we all have to accept that. We cannot say that we are above that. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about people at my level. I'm not talking about you. Please do not feel offended. So we have to engage our senses in the right direction, and then from there the mind can come under control. And Krishna gave a very nice solution. See, Krishna's solutions are usually in just, I was explaining in yesterday's class, most of the instructions are just in 8 akshars, that is 1/4 of a shlok, or in 16 akshars, that is half a shlok. Like here, Krishna offers the solution, Abhyasen tu kaunteya vairagyencha grihate. Now, unless we do abhyas by following the regulative principles, chanting and engaging in service, it is not possible to control the mind. So, therefore, again we come back to that point. It's pre-marathon or already marathon has started. So please engage in the wonderful seva which has been so nicely given by the devotees here in the full-time devotees. And they are only 5. So some of you otherwise take leave for personal reasons from work. So in this period when some devotees are in Vrindavan or elsewhere, why not you please take some leave from your work and come and stay in the temple for a week or 2, or at least for a couple of days, and do service turn by turn. In this way, see, nobody has asked me from the temple to ask her to do this. Please do not misunderstand that I've been told to, this is no force. This is just my feeling that, it's such a big, I heard it's 8 acres and there's so much of unlimited seva, and especially during marathon period. So let us all engage in the seva which we are given by the president and other senior Vaishnavas in the temple. So before concluding, because we would keep some time for questions also here. Do we have questions? So what time do we, including questions, what time do we normally? 4:30. 4:30, 4:35, right? How much time do we give for questions?
It depends, like
5 or 10 minutes. What is the time now?
It's 4:20.
Okay. So probably few minutes more, and then we can try to take questions. So similarly, like if you know when Arjun asked in the 10th chapter for Krishna to explain in detail about his opulences. So Krishna said that I will only tell you in summary, in the sense, because my opulences are unlimited. There is no end to Krishna's opulences. But when Arjun asked Krishna to explain in detail, and Krishna only gave some of his opulences in short. So in the 11th chapter, when Arjun already now he was a little hesitant because he thought that if I ask too much, it won't be right. So he asked for darshan of one roop. And he said that if I deserve to have darshan, manyase yadi tat shakyam maya drashtum iti prabho yogeshwar tato. So in other words, he asked for darshan, and there Krishna showed him unlimited, the universal form with unlimited forms, unlimited heads, arms, and bellies, and as you know, with the beautiful ornaments, divine ornaments. So he then changed those roops, actually the universal form from Ugra to Ati Ugra, and Krishna actually in the first shlok even said that I am beyond illusion or more in the first slok. But then when Krishna showed the universal form, he was absolutely, he could not bear to see anymore, and he requested him to come back to the Chaturbhuj and the two-armed form, which Krishna mercifully did. So a devotee sometimes, like at a beginning stage, there's the tendency to pray and have the sakam bhav, or have desires and pray for certain desires for themselves or the family. Because anyway, as you know, the attachment to the body and family and extensions of the body is how Bhagavad-Gita actually started. In the second chapter, from 11th slok to 30th slok, Krishna actually explains, and very nicely explains, how that, Prabhupada stresses so much on this, that we are not these bodies. So the body and the actual, the difference, the body and the soul, as you know. So we are not these bodies, but then we are so attached to these bodies that we therefore cannot engage in genuine service, because if there's some small disturbance in the body or mind, we again run away from service. So the first instruction which Prabhupada stressed on and continued to stress on, and which we all should stress, which we have to rise above the bodily conception of life, and that also is easily possible by engaging in service. So the sum and substance is that we should engage ourselves in service and respect the instructions of the senior Vaishnavas in the temple, and then try to elevate ourselves and not let anger or false ego come in the way and to prevent you from doing such divine service. So, with these few words, and again, I thank the kind community and President Prabhuji and all the senior Vaishnavas here, even though I am totally unqualified to speak in front of such advanced devotees, but I just tried to explain something from my understanding by the mercy of Srila Guru Maharaj and Srila Prabhupada. So I thank you very much once more. And please, if anyone has any questions, you may ask for the next few minutes.
Okay, I have a question. Like, it's about the 8 aksharas. Can you please give us a little detail on that? Like in English, what it is, 8 aksharas?
Yeah, I think in English we say syllable. Okay, so there are basically 32 syllables in a shloka, the normal shloka. In the 11th chapter, most of the, when after Krishna shows the universal form, the actually shlokas are 44 syllables or akshars. Because at that time Arjun is disturbed, when he sees the universal form. So just when a person is disturbed, he tends to speak in that state of anxiety or fear more than required or more than necessary. So Arjun was actually later on, there are some many shlokas in the 11th chapter which are actually 44 akshar or syllables. So each shloka actually has 4 charans or 4 parts, and each charan has 8 syllables or akshars. So what I was actually trying to say in yesterday's class, which we had in the house program, that Krishna actually gives so much divine instruction in just that 1/4 of a slok, 8 akshas. Like for example, I mentioned 2 or 3 shlokas in the past 2 days. One is Adveshta Sarva Bhutanam. That means to be non-envious to all the living entities. From time immemorial to eternal time. That means all the living entities, not only those who are present in front of you in the family or Karuna Bhavan. It's non-envious, no envy towards any living entity. And for example, also like in the last shlok of 11th chapter, Nirvaira Sarva Bhuteshu. So not to have any enmity towards any living entity. So the instructions are actually so much filled with profound knowledge that just 8 syllables are so much difficult to follow. Like nirmamo nirahankar, to be like devoid of false ego and attachment. It is almost impossible for a living entity to do even in unlimited lifetimes. Like in Gita, elsewhere in 6th chapter, Krishna says, Aneka Janma Sansidas Tato Yati Param Gati. That it takes many lifetimes, but the lifetimes may be just as short as 3 also. Like we see in King Bharat's life, that next life he was a deer and then Jat Bharat, and he completes the process of self-realization. So by 8 akshara I was meaning the 8 syllables, that is 1/4 of a shlok. And Krishna, because many of us, we try to preach to, especially in India, most of the Indians think that, oh, we have Bhagavad-Gita in the house and we know Bhagavad-Gita. But even understanding 8 syllables or 1/4 of a shlok, it's, even if you theoretically understand, but to actually put it in practice or in acharan, it's almost impossible for unlimited lifetime without the mercy of Guru Parampara and without the mercy of Gaon Nitai, Guru Parampara, and the Vaishnavas who we are trying to serve under. So there you can take any 8 akshars from any shlok and try to meditate on it and see that are we, like in the 16th chapter 21st shlok, Krishna indicates in 2, that means half the shlok, that Kam, Krodh and Lobh are actually gates to hell. But who is taking that seriously? I just told you from 523 that in fact that person is can be called a human being. The one who Kama Krodot Bhavam Vegam, like in Sri Updeshamrit, Krishna explains that how one should control the various urges, Vacho Vegam, and same way here Kama Krodot Bhavam Vegam, the Veg to tolerate the urges. Sa Yuk Sa Sukhi Nara. So that is another 8 syllables, 8 akshar, where Krishna says that that person is the one who is really happy and is actually, he can be called a human being. Otherwise, the rest of us who have not tried to, control the urge of the senses by engaging the senses in the right direction are actually not even humans, because it is not a human being if he's just involved in eating, mating. And you know that eating, mating, sleeping, depending. So it's not that all the animals, all the other species are anyway doing. So are the 8 akshars, 8 syllables clear? That is 1/4 of any shloka from Bhagavad Gita, except those shlokas which are 44 akshars or syllables in, for example, in the 11th chapter. Any other question? Okay, so I think we'll all now we'll give Vishram to the class. तो इन्हीं शब्दों से हम वाणी को विश्राम देते हैं. And I thank you all again for being so attentive and taking our time to be present, not only for the class, for the other sevas which you have nicely done. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.